Thank you. Where's the clicker? There it is. Yeah, another AI talk. Sorry. But as I told to Kristen, as we talked a moment ago, usually when people are talking about AI, they are introducing another AI-powered solution. This is not one of those. Some of the better topics are about testing AI, about the hallucinations and everything that includes. But this is not that either. This is about investigating the reality that AI is trying to replace us. What is the backlog for the AI to replace us, and so on. So let's see what it is. Little bit about me. In these data-driven times, everything is reduced into numbers. So I'm like, so one wife and 2 cats, 2 kids, and so on. Yeah, 7 was the number. This is my 7th time talking in Nordic Testing Days. Apparently, I have no other idea why I'm invited to speak here, but I enjoy. This has become my second home, and I do like being here. My 3rd company, Clarify, Quality Clarified, makes the name. And 871 buttons in my home studio. I'm a music guy, so few data points. But yeah, enough about me. Well, there's the ecosystem that our company is in. So do buy us from us, and we also hire. So, so do join us. But yeah, to the AI. There's a lot of hype around AI. If you should define AI, some would come up with something is probably machine learning, but not everything is machine learning in AI, but a lot of it is. And considering the history of that, a tiny history lesson. Back in the 1800s, person called something Jacquard, I don't remember the first name, invented this loom that you could input this hold cards that could you could print that pattern to a fabric, and then you could scale that. So you could have printed fabric from a machine. Some consider this the first stage of automation. Then fast forward to the 1970s, the mainframes. A lot of what the society we live in is built on these banking services and so on. Fast forward to 1990s, client server systems, and nowadays cloud. Everything is on someone else's computer. Roughly at the same time, when the loom was invented, a group of scientists started coming up with all these mathematical models about iterating probabilities and coming up with closer to the right answer. And somewhere around 1950s, 40s, they became actual applications, like neural networks that simulated our how we think and so on. Alan Turing was one of those people who were quite into that. 1980s, these models improved vastly. They introduced models like backpropagation, when you can input the error that the system made back into the system, and vastly improving the efficiency of the model. And now there's plenty of those. And combined with the resources that are offered by the cloud, we have endless possibilities, immense potential to create something grand. And we are also approaching the question, answer to the question that has been bothering humankind since the dawn of time. can cats eat pancakes? We soon have the machine that answers that. Well, obviously, but should they or, well, nah. But that comes with a cost. It's not free to run those thingies. For instance, ChatGPT consumes quite a lot of energy each day. But yeah, lots of magic happening. Let's investigate on how I would use this in my work. But yeah, when I first started investigating AI, what kind of tools do I have and everything, there's this organization called FirstMark. They are doing this landscape on AI-powered tools, and this is just a fraction of those. It's a lot. I have no idea where to even begin to start utilizing the AI. So usually go to ChatGPT and use that. This is what helps me the most. What problem am I solving with the AI? Is my boss telling me to study it? Or am I doing something testing problem? Does it help me in testing? Does it help me do stuff more quickly? Should I even do this thing that I was supposed to be doing more quickly? Here's a model that I use to help me in my testing efforts. I have developed it from a model that was created in AWS. Emily Freeman made a new DevOps model. Instead of it being the classic loop, it was more like a wheel with quality dimensions cross-cutting every stage of the doing. So I just improved it, put more quality dimensions in it, and more granularity in the wheel. So, and I start testing from ideas. When we have an idea of a new feature or a new business functionality or so on, I need to start testing it. And I'm glad that I have AI to provide me with the ideas for it, because it can be hard. I'm quite accustomed to doing that on technical level and so on. But now, especially when running a business, I need to test those ideas, validate them in the market and so on. How to run a workshop and so on. And I've received a bit of a flack when I've said that nowadays I read books via ChatGPT. Okay, I might miss the frame of reference when doing so, but usually it summarizes for me the book, and then I can dive into more into the details using ChatGPT or Perplexity that provides the sources for it and so on. So I can consume a lot of information at the moment. That's the idea that CEOs should read 100 books a year and so on. So I'm chasing that. I can do that in a day with this. But yeah. Moving on. Artifacts, test plans, requirements, specs, regulations. For instance, there's a lot of regulations I know nothing about, and they are looming. For instance, the accessibility regulation takes force next year in summer. You have to have your web services and so on accessible by those directives. So we need to know more about that. GDPR, the old favorite, is usually preventing work from being done. We cannot do this big ask of GDPR. Now we have access to the facts quite easily. Can we do this and this? Yes, you actually can. And then, are there any AI-powered tools that we can utilize to grasp the artifacts? For instance, if you go into that link, behind that, there's a tool that will generate test cases from requirements that are written in Jira, and it will generate those in the Jira plugin X-Ray automatically via the OpenAI API. There you go. Kristen has been warming me up quite a lot with this. This is a classic requirement. What would a thing like that generate from a requirement like this? How would you test this? You can shout any ideas. You've already done that, facilitated by Christian. But what's the first thing you would do? Don't be scared. Boundaries, yeah. It's quite obvious because there's a number there, and yeah. And if sentences are created in a way that there's a boundary there, and yeah. Sorry? Partition. Equivalence partitioning, yeah. So one could be like below 100, in between 100 and 250, and one over 250. Those are equivalence classes, and something that should happen in the similar way within that class. Anything else? This, yeah. Now we are talking. This is something that the machine couldn't do when I iterated with it. The mechanical approach. And usually when you go to take the ISTQB certification or TMAP or whatnot, this is the first thing they will teach you. Boundary values and equivalence classes. So that's what also the machine knows. There's some smartness in that. It suggested to test also the documentation and safety standards and so on. But how a human being does that? It considers context. And why is there 110 and 220 VAC? Why did I put those there? Yeah, they're the most used ones in the world. So it might be wise to test those. So market-driven approach on test. DC. That's the human. So is there a problem? And hertz, and so on. Does anyone know what the nominal means in this context? When you have an electric equipment and you notice a word nominal. Variation, yes, it allows variation, so it should work at 99 also. That creates a bit of a problem if you're dealing with the boundaries, so it fluctuates. I've been working in telecom quite a lot. There for instance, tests weren't that much about pass and fail. They were more about the acceptable level of signal or something. And yeah, the conventional way of greens and reds didn't apply there. And of course, who can test electronic equipment? I wouldn't let anyone to test those. I would have bodies after that. It requires certain knowledge on those systems and capabilities. It will kill you if tested wrongly. But yeah, about the topic. Usually the mechanical way is that you have a lot of tests. You have hundreds and thousands and even millions of tests. And they create results. They pass and fail. Pretty much all the automation is based on this kind of testing. But to me, the more natural way to do testing is to use the result as a design for the next test. So going deeper and deeper into something that provides value. And that's way more fruitful testing than. Of course, you need the harnesses that run all those tests automatically, but you need also the chain model I will give you an example in a moment. But first, UI UX design, and so on. For instance, I learned a lot about information architecture by diving deeply into this and spending time with also with people who know more about that, and also ChatGPT. Does anyone know what the OSI model is? If you're dealing with architecture, yeah, some careful hand waves. If you're dealing with networks, you should know about this model. It will help you understand and implement a network design from the physical connection to the actual where humans are using the network. When we go to API economy and the APIs more deeply, this is the discussion or thoughts that we were having with the team a while back. They started implementing new API, GraphQL, mainly because it seemed to solve some of the problems, but more so that they could get something for their CV. This is called CV-driven development. You use the latest technologies not to help you necessarily, but to get that feather on your cap so that you can be employed better later on. I do hate that. But yeah, GraphQL, what the hell? What it is? All these questions flying around. It created also certain risks. Traversal attack, what the hell is that? So, I'm glad that I have a tool that provides me with answers to that. And I can dig deeper into that. It can design tests for me for that attack. I can verify those and then move on. But also, oldies but goldies. Does anyone know this cheat sheet? Yeah. For many, it's the most useful tool actually in their toolbox. And also, well, why are the lights green? Nothing makes me more suspicious than row of green. But yeah, more deeply into the code. For instance, the security part of it, we need to bake quality in, also the security in. I don't know that much about the SASTs and the dynamic one and so on, so I'm glad that I have all the knowledge and I can discuss with it. And can you recommend tools? If you ask that, it will provide. There's a lot. And then I can start studying those and diving more deeply, and their risks and everything. What's the problem with this tool? Can you give me pros and cons of using black? And then it will give. I can design tests based on that. I was supposed to give you a demo where I use GitHub Copilot, but I couldn't access it today. Sorry about that, but I have a few learnings on using that. It's quite simple. For instance, if you use VS Code, it's just a plugin you install, and then you have a new part there in that menu that will help you explain the code and also generate code quite easily. It's like magic, but it has its problems also. When we used it with our team, these are a few of the observations that we came up with. For instance, if we gave too big tasks for it, it started doing all this funny stuff. And we couldn't understand the source code anymore. But when we started experimenting, finding the boundaries of its usefulness, then we managed to utilize it more effectively. But it didn't replace the community and the code conventions and everything, because it's ultimately what matters. You should stick to those, even though you have a powerful tool like Copilot. And also, you have to consider the context. Is it disposable? Is it, do you have to share it with someone else? What if you generate a lot of code and then no one understands? You have to share it. You have to build it with your team and so on. So take that into account. And of course, Copilot gets its data, which can be obsolete. For instance, someone asked in some conference that if you look back at the half year back at your code, is that something you would reuse, or should you write the new code? Copilot is going back to that old code and just testing those to you. And one of my favorite themes in testing: don't try to prove that something works. Test if it works. Also, the tools you are using. And if they are not, discard them. But yeah, more deeply into the wheel. Back in the days, I was testing S-Kaupat, which is the food web store in the biggest chain of grocery stores in Finland. When I started testing it, I started dividing it. I used a modified SF Depot heuristic for it. So I basically did a dissection to the system. That helped me to focus on data in the integrations and find weaknesses in there. I drilled down. I used test results as my test design and found a weakness where I can buy food for free. And that nullified the whole business. And they had to fix architecture for 6 months to correct that. AI didn't help me in this, but this did. Classic tools. And of course, little help from Bug Magnet. I also updated the Playwright harnesses so that it wouldn't happen again, and so on. A little bit of Python scripting and so on. But ultimately, it was reproducible by hand. Even my daughter, 9-year-old daughter, could order food for free from the shop. Behind this link, there's an auto Playwright. So it integrates Playwright into OpenAI API, and you start getting suggestions on your Playwright scripts. Have to fast forward a bit. When you are dealing with pipelines, here's probably one of the best articles written for testing the pipelines by Maaret Pyhäjärvi. Do look that out. And if we go into production, then there's too much going on. Monitoring tools, analytics tools, so much AI-powered stuff, and that I cannot address everything in this presentation. But that was pretty much the whole idea on how I test from idea to production with all these approaches, all the time drilling, seeking problems, and trying to fix them. What we usually use with our teams is to visualize them for example, in a mind map. This could be done this is done in XMind. You could use Miro. And coloring that you see here, you don't see green anywhere because that's for something else. That's usually the pipeline produces the green. But we either find new information or we don't. And if we don't, I mark them blue. Sorry, I failed. I didn't find anything that could be used to make better decisions. Red ones, problematic. They could be attached to a ticket or something. Yellow ones, I don't know, a bit confusing. We have to talk. And the purple ones, we need to test more. There's a lot of combinations, and it exploded when we dive into that topic and so on. But yeah, that fluctuates. But everything, all our knowledge is in that. And we can dive more deeply into that and all the ideas, all the designs, code, all the discussion is fluctuating on that visual platform. Other tools. I use a lot of Evernote, and I'm glad actually that it has AI-powered features because I've written like 1,500 notes in there, and it can go back into those. For instance, when I've done trainings and so on, can you give me summary of that? And Perplexity gives you sources to the material the AI is using. OpenAI, API integrations, and Rewind is actually, well, if you are using Windows 11, they are apparently implementing a feature that will record everything you do in that OS. I don't know how you can manage it, but in Rewind you can actually you are in control of that, but it helps you to do more more intelligence rewinding to what you did. For instance, with the exploratory testing sessions and so on. I've also created 2 GPTs behind those links. The one educates you with the exploratory testing. I've trained it. It still gives funny answers, but I'm training it to give more precise answers about the exploratory testing. What I know, it's biased on me. There's also the plant that gives testing ideas on different domains. For instance, in medical environments and regulated environments and so on. So do check those out. What's next? This is for my backlog. There's a lot. I spend a lot of time in Hugging Face, studying their models. Mark Winteringham is writing an awesome book about AI-assisted testing. Do check that out. About 2 months back, Ministry of Testing organized a 30 days of AI testing. So that discussion is still available in their discussion forums. Lot of good knowledge on that. You can name it. New training models. Also, these solutions that help you actually build products without coding. It's not no code, but it's something more. And because now we are entering the interesting area. Are we human beings supposed to be spending time with code editors and consoles? Could AI help us release time from that and start building solutions, finding answers to the problems humans are having, instead of diving too deeply into some details? But yeah, there's a lot on my plate at the moment. I try to study everything you see here. But also this. When we test, it's not just about code or pipelines or whatnot. The quality that we produce to our customers, or the quality we advocate, what we build our businesses on, it's way more than just code. You can test, for instance, leadership by running 360 evaluations on your C-level and so on. And yeah, you can fine-tune your recruitment and so on. Dan Ashby has written an awesome piece on this, the holistic quality, so to speak, and this is just a model that shows that. This is our backlog, actually. Let's get back to the history a bit. Before the 1940s, Finland, where I'm from, was mainly agricultural nation. Everyone was on the field, tending them, planting crops and harvesting them. And men, women, children, everyone, even cats. When this sample harvester was introduced back in the day, everyone was thinking that, oh no, it's taking our jobs. We don't want to leave the fields. Well, that's what we thought. We actually wanted to leave the fields. It made it possible for us to leave the fields, start studying. We had massive surges in people who joined schools. We could build information society in Finland. And the rest is history. We are currently on the verge of challenging our thinking again. What should we do as human beings? Should we spend our time in code editors and consoles, in meeting rooms, writing PowerPoints, or should we do something else? We can build something awful or something beautiful. And I will leave you to that thought. Thank you. You're also silent. Yeah.
Well,
Cool. Thank you.
question assurance is on its way.
Did I say something
Hands.
you didn't like? Because that.
If you go back about 20-ish slides,
No,
you had a slide about tests and results. There was stuff and then the chain of it.
Yeah.
Did you mean tests or did you mean checks?
No. We can go into that. But
Okay,
yeah,
that was a trigger. But my
Yeah.
point was rather the fact you said it very well that the linked chain of results into new tests and new
Yeah.
testing is important, and it is, and
Yeah.
because that gives us the flow of what a customer would see or how the data flows rather than just snapshots of
Yeah.
is this answer correct, because the propagation of issues is usually very important.
Yeah.
But the problem with that one is that it takes time
It
and
does.
is
Yeah.
hardly repeatable. How do you balance?
Well, the repeatable part, it's actually, you can log. Because ultimately we are dealing with reading a map or drawing a map. And if you're reading a map, and can you come up with something new? Can you come up with something discoveries? Of course, if it's a treasure map, then there's the bug. Find it. But when you're doing this exploration, investigation, please, oh please, do log what you are doing. Record everything so that you can create a trail. But it takes time. But usually the time, now that you start to think of it, you come up with something with real impact. When you dive deeply into something, and it took me less than an hour to find a bug that will nullify this food web store. If I would have run automated tests or developed those and maintained those automation and do all these harnesses and everything, all the jazz, it would have taken me way longer to do the ceremonies rather than diving deeply, focusing. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it ultimately takes that much longer.
We can take a few more questions. But you two need to get a room. There is it.
So, as you said, you are using it for a lot for things to just find information about, some general stuff. And it's really good at that. But if you really have to use it in practice, let's say you have like this system and you have to test it, and you can have these general ideas like how to test it, but to do it in practice, it's same as like building a house. Like you can ask it how to build a house, but when you have to build it, you have to do it yourself.
Yeah.
So do you find there some places where you're already using AI that could help you like in practice do those things?
Yeah. What is the challenging part that I try to tackle with the exercise with the requirement is that when you let it do that, it does a lot of funny things. So that it actually generates more work for us than it actually solves. And that's at the moment we are at. And yeah, so there's actually more work using AI than doing it ourselves from the beginning. I haven't seen any that good. Okay, closest thing is it detecting anomalies, for instance, from production. There's a lot of data there and that we need to handle for data handling and providing insight on that. But even that is often biased. It gives us wrong information and we have to work on it. And there's lots of like drama. So we are refining that still. So I don't see that much use yet, but I'm quite open-minded on finding.
Thanks.
Thanks.
So, do you mean to say that using AI is kind of like training a new employee?
Sorry?
Do you mean to say that using AI is very similar to training a new employee?
Yeah, it's like
you can do it yourself, or you can delegate and spend time teaching someone else to do it.
Yeah, and it doesn't complain or doesn't want a salary raise or that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
You obviously haven't seen the OpenAI's new price list about talking about salary raise.
Yeah. But yeah, like a summer trainee or a assistant, like that's how it's supposed to be at the moment. But if I would have more time to explain about the AGI, the artificial general intelligence development and even super intelligence, there's some things that could actually be quite worrying of me becoming the summer trainee and having a machine master. That could come. And I don't know.
One last question. She was first.
Is there something I can throw with? The clicker. Yeah.
But for €5 I can give it to you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm a bit skeptical about using AI. Basically, you kind of guide the AI to find the problem, to find the bug or whatever.
Yeah.
So if you are biased and you are looking for something at a specific area, how will the AI help you with that? Because you are leading it, you are guiding it to search in this area, but the bug is somewhere else.
I personally use it to do the heavy lifting, like the mechanical work that I don't want to do. So it's basically doing the dishes for me. But then it leaves me time to investigate. So that's our relationship with AI. So okay. I won't let it do that yet, but it might become. And
yeah.
I have a quite personal relationship with AI, and everyone uses it in a different way, but this is how I use it at the moment.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm really happy, Sami, that you have a relationship.
Yeah, one wife. That's AI. No, well, no. She's a real one. So far.
I'm sure there's a word for it. We just don't know yet. But thank you very much.
Thanks
for another very nice speech.